Yo, what is up, boys? So today we are going to be doing the long-awaited Elizabeth Grimoire guide. So this is just going to be Holy Elizabeth. This is not going to be any of the other Elizabeths. This is just going to be the Holy one. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to get started because this is a very important support unit. And a lot of you guys have been asking for this, so let's get to it. So first things first is her passive, Beach Princess. This is basically a cheat death ability. It allows you to essentially just not die. If you ever fall below a certain threshold, you'll get a insta heal. And from my testing, it seemed like you could still get killed if you got hit hard enough, because it kind of works just like Clotho healing, where after you get hit, it then heals you. And it kind of subtracts the amount of damage that hit does. But if the amount of damage you take is more than the hit, I believe you can still get killed. I wasn't able to actually get killed with any of the attempts that I did, but I'm a very maxed out Elizabeth. So odds are, if you're a much lower potential Elizabeth, that you can still get killed through your cheat death. So just be wary of that. I do believe you still can get killed, but it should save you for the most part. Along with the cheat death mechanic for Beach Princess, there's also a side mechanic with her special attack, where whenever she hits somebody with her special attack, it applies weakness increase to the target, and it also increases your defense for every single time you hit a target with splashing around. Now this is not just Liz, this also counts other characters as well. So for example, Merlin. If Merlin hits another person while they have splashing around, it'll stack up this defense passive as well. Next is going to be her special attack, which is Princess's Water Cannon. This is one of the most important abilities in her kit other than her heal, and this one essentially sprays a water gun in front of you, and it applies a debuff called Splashing Around. This debuff Splashing Around is a major part of her kit, and it decreases defense by 20%. Next we'll go on to her normal skill, Cool Bite, and this is essentially Tiora heal except a little bit better, because Tiora heal is stationary, it stays on the ground, while Liz's heal follows you around as you're moving. So you don't have to worry about staying a specific spot. You kind of just press the button and kind of forget about it. You can also swap to different characters and it'll stay on that character and follow that character around. So it's very nice, very neat, nifty little heal, and it's very easy to use. Lastly, we'll talk about her ult, Let's Play Together. She basically grabs this little chibi and she starts throwing him around and dancing with him, and it applies this giant circle around you, and while you're in that circle you get healed by a tremendous amount. As you guys can see, I'm being healed for 60k every tick, so this heal does an enormous amount of healing, and it's honestly pretty impossible to die while this ult is up. This is essentially a I will not die ult, and on top of you not dying, you also are completely immune to reactions. So because of that, you can kind of just avoid dodging at all, and you just press your buttons and play the game. It's actually very nice. It makes playing Tyrannus much easier, because there's a lot of times where like a lot of your buttons get canceled because Tyrannus hits you or whatever, and this completely negates all of that. You also take a little bit less damage, which is cool, but like you're healing for so much, the damage taken is kind of like null and void. You're just this is basically like, I'm going to play the game and no one's gonna stop me button. It's pretty great. I love it. It's one of my favorite buttons in the game right now. So the combo for Liz is actually going to be extremely simple. So you're just going to tag in Liz. She's going to shoot out this little snowboard or something. I don't know what it is actually, a surfboard, whatever. She's gonna shoot out like an umbrella or something like that, and it's gonna hit the ground. And if you have her at potential 5 or 6 or something like that, I think it's 5. Yeah, it's 5. So if you have a potential 5, it's going to leave this puddle on the ground, and a lot of people have been asking if this stacks. It does not stack. So when it says that it does 10% more damage every 1 second for 20 seconds, that's just saying that every second it does a new buff, and it reapplies the debuff, right? So it's not going to restack the debuff up to 200%. It's just going to keep stacking that 10% debuff over and over again. So it's going to be refreshing the debuff. It's not going to stack upon itself. So that's a question I got asked a lot, and I did test it. It does not stack. It simply applies more of that debuff, and it keeps refreshing the CD on it, so it keeps staying topped up. And then after you tag her in, you're going to press E then Q. Why E then Q? Because your Q can be cancelled by your E. If you don't let the animation rock for your Q, it will get canceled and you won't actually apply splashing around. So the much easier way to do it is just press E first, then Q, and the Q has like some tracking to it, so she'll actually like jump to the target. So you can kind of like no brain press EQ and you're good. And then after you press EQ, you either want to ult and then swap to a different character or just swap to a different character. And that's really basically it. Liz is really just like a tag in character. You just tag her in, you press all her abilities and you tag her out. You don't really want to stay on this character that much longer than that. There's no reason to. Now her best weapon is going to be her specific weapon, her Shadow Rupture Grimoire. And it's going to be for the reason of it increases her defense by a tremendous amount, 26%. And it also gives her additional healing efficiency, 27%. And that's just baseline. That's not even including what her actual passive does on the book itself. Which the passive is great. It increases all elemental weakness damage by a certain percentage, and also increases your healing by a certain percentage based on your defense stacks that you have. And this goes up every single time you level it up. And this book actually doesn't have a part 2 to it. So when you usually 3-star a weapon or a book or something like that, you usually get a second part of the passive. This book actually doesn't have that. There's no second part to the passive. The numbers just get bigger. So because of that, I actually don't recommend upgrading this book unless it's like absolutely 100% necessary for you in order to like live and get like good value. But I actually don't think you need to level this book at all to get good value out of Liz. Currently there's no content in the game that hits hard enough or does enough damage, I believe, in order for you to be putting SSR Magic Crystal Shards into this book. So I'm going to tell you guys, as of right now, just go ahead and just skip the book. Right now, when it comes to like SSR Magic Crystal Shards, just craft the book, get it to level 50, and that should honestly be more than good enough for you guys to have Liz and make her work in any single team comp. You don't need to invest any SSR Magic Crystal Shards into this. I honestly believe that like if you're investing SSR Magic Crystal Shards into this, you're like a whale. And I'm a whale and I still don't do it. Like I think it's a waste. So there you guys go. Go ahead, like don't worry about it. Just craft the book, get level 50, you're good to go. Now when it comes to the armor, I actually have a video set up for you guys. I'll let you guys play right now. Yo, what's up boys? I'm going to do the explanation for the armor sets a little bit differently than I normally do, just because there's so many nuances and so many different things that go with Liz's, and it all depends on like a lot of the stuff depending on what you have. So this is the armor set I'm wearing on Liz right now, and this is the recommended armor set that I'm going to recommend to anybody who has a P10 Liz. So reason being is that if you are a P10 Liz, you want more defense than you do healing, right? If you're P10 Liz, odds are you're a whale and you care more about more damage than more healing. So this isn't necessarily the best healing build, but this is the build that's going to give you the most amount of defense and healing at the same time. So if you guys can see, I also have the Greedy Ruler 159. I have the Watcher's Armor Bottoms because it gives you healing efficiency 5%. The Watcher's Armor Belt because it gives you another like 5% healing efficiency basically. So both of these together give you 10% healing efficiency. A 160 pair of Greedy Ruler Boots because of the defense. And obviously these all get better whenever these get fixed with the them not being able to be refined at the moment. So we can't actually level these up. So this build just does get better as soon as we can actually level these up. And then the Greedy Ruler Necklace. Now this would be a lot better if this was defense percentage up, because you can get a defense roll on a lot of these, and I actually have one on my 100 days necklace, so you can get a defense roll on this necklace. So if you get this necklace a high with a defense roll, that's like the god roll for Liz. And then this is here just for double healing efficiency. So if you don't have 100 days with double healing efficiency, you can simply swap it out for a double healing efficiency life crystal earring. That's perfectly acceptable. And then this is here just for magic charging efficiency. The die efficiency and the ult don't really matter. We're just here for this magic charging efficiency. It gives the most out of any ring that I've seen. So this is the recommended build for anybody who is a whale and is trying to min-max all the defense that they can out of their Liz. My outfit also has healing efficiency and defense. It's only level 2, but it is what it is. I think the third one probably be like HP, maybe magic charging efficiency, depending on what you're going for. Honestly, we're probably never going to get all 3 of them anyway. So I mean, if you get defense and healing efficiency are a must for sure. And then the other one, HP, mag, charge efficiency, whatever you get, right? If you get all three of them in the same row, like W. Now I'm going to go on to what you should be wearing if you're trying to go for healing. And if you still have the Greedy Ruler, if you've gotten pretty lucky with your Greedy Ruler stuff and you have Greedy Ruler stuff on, that's like 160 plus. So that is going to be a full 100 days set right here. So this is going to be the build for the best healing possible that I've found thus far. So it's going to be same thing, Greedy Ruler top and bottoms, the Watcher belt and bottoms, and the full 100 days set. Now the passive for the 100 days doesn't actually work, but because of the double healing efficiency, like if you have a double healing efficiency one, plus the extra 15% healing efficiency, even though you don't get this extra 15%, this is still more than if you ran a life crystal set. Now this is hinging on, like this does hinge on you having a double healing efficiency 100 days. If you don't have a double healing efficiency 100 days, I think life crystal full set might be better for just straight up healing, but I haven't been able to test it because obviously I don't have 100 days. It just doesn't have healing efficiency. It's a one-off item. So let me know what you guys have done. Like if you guys don't have a double healing efficiency 100 days, if you know, if you run this versus a full life set, what gives you more healing? I haven't been able to test it, so this is for you guys. But like if you have a double healing efficiency one, this is the best setup for just straight healing. Now if you do not have a Greedy Ruler 159 or 160 yet, then the best thing to replace it with is going to be high level versions of the Immortal Watcher stuff. So you just put on a 4 set of the Immortal Watcher and you do the same thing, the 100 days. And that is going to give you the best amount for healing if you don't have Greedy Ruler stuff. Now, let's say you want more defense and you also don't have Greedy Ruler stuff, right? If you don't have the 160 Greedy Ruler stuff and you want more defense, you're trying to min-max all your defense, you do the same thing. You run Immortal Watcher and then you run a defense-focused necklace. So you either run the 159 or like 160 that I have. It's somewhere around here. Yeah, you either run the 159 that I have, or you basically run any necklace that you can find that gives you defense, right? In addition to trying to be as high rolled as possible, like 110, something like that, right? So anything that gives you a good amount of defense, you put here, and then you would put a double healing efficiency earring here, and then you would go back to the Gila ring right here. So a lot of this is going to be dependent on what you have in your account, what you have available. Is 160 Greedy Ruler, viable for you? Can you actually get that? Or do you have to go something a little bit more free-to-play friendly or, high raid friendly before you can, get all those gears? Because this is the best combination, but obviously not everyone can get 160 Greedy Ruler right now. So Immortal Watcher is honestly not that far behind, especially because we can't upgrade these yet. I did the testing. Immortal Watcher was literally like 100 defense, sometimes less, behind than the Greedy Ruler stuff. So the Immortal Watcher combinations aren't too far behind. They're really, really close. They're super competitive as of right now. So Immortal Watcher is honestly not super bad, not super terrible. They're very, very, very close. So if you have Immortal Watcher, you don't have Greedy Ruler, don't feel like your Liz is bricked or anything like that. Your Liz is still going to be very, very good. You're still going to be able to get like, 42k, maybe 43k defense. You just won't hit like 44k, like how I'm hitting, right? So if I put all my stuff back on, my defense maxed out is 44k. And I've seen just a few people that have hit 45k. Nothing, I don't think anybody's hit more than 45k, like no buffs, no buffs, like just standing in the open world doing nothing. I'm literally just standing in Leonis doing nothing. 44k is it's pretty high, pretty good. So this is the best setup if you have a P10 Liz. If you don't have a P10 Liz, you're going to be going more for healing efficiency. So you're going to be wanting to switch these out for 100 days. And then if you don't have Greedy Ruler stuff, you just put on some Mortal stuff and any necklace that has defense. And that's going to be the best setup for Liz. And one last note that I completely forgot about. If you don't have Watcher bottoms, Watcher armor bottoms, or Watcher armor's belts, and you want a more less expensive way to get something similar, because let's be honest, this stuff is super expensive. It's 6 malachite alloy each, which means it's 24 plat, because it's 12 plat each, or 12 plat, 24 plat total to his 12 plat each. You're gonna just trade it in for the jet black stuff, right? So the jet black stuff also gives you healing efficiency. It's just going to be slightly less because the armor value is going to be less. So if you want like the Walmart version or just like the simpler, easier version to do, you just do jet black bottoms and jet black belt instead of the watch armors bottoms and watch armors belt. So this will give you very similar numbers. You'll just be like 2% behind on the healing efficiency. So it's not that big a deal if you don't want to build these, because I get it, these are really expensive. So you can just build these and you'll be completely fine, guys. But I did want to make that a note, just in case like people don't want to make it, it's too expensive, whatever. You can build this, it's fine. You're only like 2% behind, it's whatever. And I'll let you guys get right back to the video. Now, if we go on to her enchants, the enchants are going to be a little bit weird. And a lot of you guys are probably going to raise an eyebrow at me when I tell you what her best enchant is, but just stick with me, hear me out. I promise it makes sense afterwards. So her 4 best enchants, because there are 4 beads that you can be rolling for her, are going to be legendary beads, holy beads, darkness beads, or physical beads. Now you guys are probably raising your eyebrows at those last 2, the darkness beads and the physical beads. Now you guys are probably asking, why are you telling me to roll darkness beads and physical beads on this holy character, Zeradith? Well, the reason being is that the darkness, holy, and physical beads all don't have elemental burst efficiencies on their beads, right? So if you would go to like the wind bead, the lightning bead, the fire bead, the cold bead, they all have this extra roll of their respective elemental burst efficiency on it. The other beads, the holy, the darkness, the physical, they don't actually burst, so they don't have that additional roll. So you're just trying to get rid of that roll. And what you're trying to do is get defense, HP, cooldown reduction, and magic charging efficiency. So we don't actually care about the bead specific stuff. So for instance, like the holy bead, we don't care about the holy attack or the holy damage. We're not really doing damage on this character, so we don't care about that. Same thing with darkness beads, right? Like it has darkness attack, darkness damage. We don't really care about those darkness attack, darkness damage. We want the HP, the defense, the cooldown reduction, the magic charging efficiency. And all 3 of these beads have the exact same stuff. Now, why did I also toss legendary beads into that mix? Well, legendary beads are obviously much easier to make. Now they don't have the extra cooldown reduction roll that you can get for her, but they do still have the defense and the HP, which are the 2 most important ones. So if you're feeling a little lazy and you don't really care about being super min-maxy, you can go ahead and you can just roll legendary beads and just try to roll HP, defense, and magic charge efficiency. And as soon as you get those 3, you call it a day, you're good to go. Hell yeah, W. Now, if you want to be a little bit more min-maxy and you want to have like the best lives possible, you go ahead and you roll holy beads, darkness beads, or physical beads, and it's whatever is convenient for you to make, right? So it's not like make physical because physical is best. It's not make darkness because darkness is best. It's not holy, right? All 3 of them are completely 100% equal. They all have the exact same percentages to get the rolls that you want. So it's just whichever one is convenient for you to make. If you have a lot of quartz, make holy. If you have a lot of amethyst, make darkness, right? If you have, most of us shouldn't have a lot of plat around, so physical beads are really just kind of like if you got some from the raid and you just want to like toss a little bit of extra, toss your luck in, go ahead and do it. But the physical ones are the ones that I probably recommend the least that you do, unless you're like a whale and you're just have a whole bunch of platinum around laying around or whatever, right? You can roll the physical beads if you want to. So the holy beads and the darkness beads are probably gonna be the ones that most of you guys are gonna be rolling. And these beads are both exactly the same, so it's really just whichever one you have more resources of, or whichever one you want to farm more on a daily basis. So you can do either, or it really doesn't matter. If you're like a darkness, you love demons, you love melee lover, right? You probably already have a lot of amethyst. You can go ahead, you can roll darkness beads on it. However, if you love the angels, the holy characters, you've been farming a lot of quartz, you can go ahead and you can do the holy beads. It really doesn't matter because all you want is the HP, the defense, the cooldown reduction, and the magic charging efficiency. And the most important ones are obviously going to be defense being the most important one, HP being the second most important one because both of these affect the amount of the amount of healing you do. And next is going to be magic charge efficiency, just to make her get more magic gauge. And lastly is going to be cooldown reduction because honestly, most of the time, you don't really spam her abilities that much on this character. And whenever she's ulting and you swap off of her, you can't actually swap back into her. right, until she's done ulting. So because of that, cooldown reduction isn't super necessary on her. However, it is something that you can have if you want to have it. So those are the enchants that you want on her, guys. It's going to be legendary beads if you just want the quick and easy HP defense, call it a day. Holy, darkness, and physical if you want that extra min-maxi and you want to add that cooldown reduction roll onto your beads. Now, since we are on the topic of beads, I wanted to cover something that I've been seeing on one of my favorite places on earth, Reddit, and just all over the internet, is people have been telling other people to put equipment HP and equipment defense on their secondary weapons for Liz. So I went ahead and I did some testing, and as you guys can see, I have this staff right here has max equipment HP, and as you can see, my HP isn't moving. It's 85 to 86 every single time, no matter what. I do the same thing right here with defense. I have a max defense roll, 663. And as you guys can see, 42,462 is what my defense is. And when I take this off, it's going to be exactly the same. It's going to be 42,462. So your other weapons do not matter at all on Liz, because the only thing that gets transferred is the attack, and it's only 30% of the attack. That's why equipment attack works. So if you see right here, my attack goes up because not only did I put another weapon on, I also have more equipment attack on that weapon, right? If I take that weapon off, my attack will lower, but this character doesn't scale on attack, so the other weapons don't matter in the slightest. And I wanted to go ahead and cover this because I knew people were going to ask me this. I knew people were going to say, oh, you didn't cover this. I did. It doesn't work. It's misinformation. Stop telling people to do this. It's wrong. It doesn't work. It doesn't transfer. Only attack transfers on other weapons. That's it. And of course, here is my stat sheet for those of you guys that would like to see it and are interested in all the numbers. And lastly, let's talk about her potential breakpoints. Now, the potential breakpoints for Liz are very hard to actually give you a specific one to go for, because in all actuality, P5, P6, P7, P9, and P10 are all very good. So what I'm going to recommend is you guys get a P7 Liz if you can get a P7 Liz. However, if you try to get anything, like let's say you have a P4 Liz and you're like, hey, should I get a P5? Yes. I have a P5, should I get P6? Yes. Right? If I have a P6, should I get P7? Yes. Right? Like every single step is 100% worth it, and it's no brainer, do it. The only one that isn't is P7 to P8. That is because that one only gives you stats. Now, because it does give you stats, it is going to increase the amount of healing she does. However, it's not worth the investment if you're at P7, right? So if you're at P7 and you're wondering, should I get P8? The answer is going to be probably no, unless you plan on pushing for P9. So that is the breakpoint for Liz. And it keeps going after that, right? If you are at P8, right? Let's just say, assume you are P8, yes, you go for P9. And if you are P9, yes, you go for P10. Right, so it's every single one is worth it except for P8. So that's why the hard cutoff is P7, because it's the only one that's not really super worth it. So those are her potential, guys. So if you guys ever have a question, it's like, hey, is the next one worth it? As long as it's not P8, the answer is going to be yes, it's going to be worth it. And the reason is just because of how strong all these potentials are. So if you actually look at the P5, it gives you that 10% increased damage buff for 10 seconds, and also gives you managed charge efficiency. Those are two things that we really want, especially on our support character. Now, if we go to P6, it's going to give you additional 10% to that splashing around, and it's also going to give you increased pierce and crit chance baseline, right? So this is just her being on the team. That last sentence right there increases all allied heroes pierce by 50 and crit chance by 10%. It just increases the people's pierce and crit chance from her being on the team. You take her off the team, they get that minus 10%, minus 50. You put her on the team, they get that 50 plus 10%. She don't have to do anything, just her being on the team with that P6 gives them these stats. P7, it's very beneficial. Once again, it increases her ult by 10 seconds and adds that extra elemental attack to all the characters by 30%. And this is all elemental attacks. So this is going to be for every single character. It's going to be good for every single unit. Maybe not physical, because physical isn't an element, but as long as the character isn't physical, they should be benefiting from this. And then once again, we go to the P9. This one is probably the least worth it out of all of them, just because it's just a little bit more healing on the ult, but it does add reaction to immunity to allies in range. Now that is your teammates, not yourself. Baseline, the ult already makes you yourself immune. The allies in range part of P9 is your teammates. So your teammates now become immune to the immune to reactions if they don't have a Liz on the team or they just don't have a P9 Liz. And then the P10 obviously is extremely broken. It's probably one of the most beneficial potentials in the entire game because it just flat out gives one of your main DPSs, or just all of your main DPSs actually, 4,000 damage, like attack baseline. And this is just 4,000 attack from what we can get right now. As you guys saw, my Liz has 44,000 defense. So 10% of that is 4,400. So if I ever get to 50,000 defense, which was very possible because we can't even upgrade our gritty ruler stuff, then I'll be getting 5,000 attack. If we ever get more gear that gives us more defense and we get to push to 60k, then I'll give my main DPS 6,000 attack, right? This is a very good potential. It's one of the strongest potentials for a support character that we've gotten thus far. It is by far the most broken potential in the game, and it's really unfortunate this is locked behind a P10, but it does make sense because it is that strong. So that is the explanation for the potentials, guys. It was a little bit wordy than usual, but it's because her potentials are so strong. Lastly, guys, I will be answering the question that probably everybody has in their heart of hearts, and that is, should I pull on Liz? Even if I can't get her P10, let's just say I can only get her P4. I can only get one copy of Liz. Should I pull on Liz? The answer is going to be yes, absolutely pull on Liz. Liz is a universal support. She is just like Daisy. Daisy can be tossed on every single team, no matter what, and she is useful. Elizabeth is the exact same way. Elizabeth can be tossed on every single team without question, and she is going to be useful. Not only that, unlike Daisy, she's holy, so she actually contributes to every single element. So if you put her on a fire team, she's going to be helping with that fire burst efficiency. If you put her on a lightning team, she's going to be helping that lightning efficiency, right? So on and so forth. So because she's holy, she's even more flexible than Daisy, whereas Daisy is lightning, she's always going to try to give you that little bit of lightning burst. Liz is only holy, so she's going to help everybody, every single team, all the time. So yes, guys, she is going to be a must pull. Support units are almost always going to be must pulls, especially very universal support units like this one. She's not like Clotho. Clotho is very specific. She's super niche to just ice right now, and she's a wind burst, right? So unless you are a wind burst person or an ice person, you really didn't want Clotho. And to this day, I still hold to the thought that Clotho is a skip, and people have been able to clear the raid and do very well in the raid without Clotho. So, you know, other than the 4 wind or the 4 cold pledge that they just added, this is the first time that Clotho has been like kind of needed because of that pledge. But even then, you can go work around it by just having a really fast time. So I still believe that Clotho was a skip character, and like one of the only skip characters we've really gotten, other than like Escanor. But like, who the hell is going to skip on Escanor? So Liz is going to be a must pull, guys. Just try to get her P4 if that's all you can get her. It's perfectly fine. But if you can get any more potentials on her, every single potential except P8 is extremely worth it, guys.